Hey, welcome back, everybody who joins with us each time we have one of these. We've got with us Casey Oliver, a good friend of mine and a pastor at our church. Casey, tell us a little bit about yourself.
You bet. I am a pastor at Stonewater Church in Granbury, Texas. It's a small community with a growing church that was launched about 20 years ago with about 12 families and has grown. We're in 7 locations now, and God just blessed us in huge ways. I've married to my high school sweetheart and have 5 awesome daughters. 2 of those were adopted, which is a whole nother story in itself. But 3 girls in high school right now. So my life is pretty exciting, chasing women around just about every location. They just happen to all be in my family. So I've got cheerleaders and basketball players and get to lead a really amazing staff as well. So a little bit about me.
Yep. And Casey, you're humble. He's like you're a key pastor there at our church. He oversees all of the lead pastors at all the campuses. He's the organizer. We have a great lead pastor over our church, and he's a vision guy, and Casey's the one who takes all those visions and puts them into place. So, yeah, I'm just happy and thrilled to have you here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, hey, we talked a little bit about this a couple of weeks ago. You've got some stuff going on. You got some preaching coming up, and there's just this nagging deal that goes on for you when it's time to get up and perform.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of an Achilles heel. There's a lot of things in ministry that I absolutely love. There's a lot of environments that I feel like my gifts really get to be deployed well. I enjoy many times that's environments that other people wouldn't want to be a part of. I enjoy walking into conflict. I love mediation. I enjoy strategy and structure. Preaching has never been an area that I've enjoyed, that I've looked forward to, that I've anticipated. And yet I love leading people. I love getting up in front of small groups and leading. I love getting in front of our staff, which now is 250 people. I mean, they're not small rooms. And love communicating leadership principles, love communicating truth of Scripture. But there's something about getting on a preaching stage, getting on a Sunday morning stage. There's something about that performance, that obligation to kind of meet all the expectations of the people in the room. I've got to stand in a certain box. I've got to look a certain way. I've got to communicate in a certain way. Those things just, they create incredible anxiety in me. I remember the first time my lead pastor asked me to preach, and I communicate. Everyone says I communicate well. I can put a message together well. I can dig out great points. There's a lot of valuable things. I've never had anyone say, "Hey, you should never do that again. You really stink at this." They say you should do this more often, and yet I don't know if there's anything I'd rather not do. So my lead pastor, asked me to communicate on stage on a Sunday morning, and I think I dropped 20 pounds in like 2 months, just from anxiety and stress, and that's gotten better over time with more reps. But it's still something that I really believe the Lord could just unlock some things and loose me. It would allow me to have more confidence when I'm communicating. I think I could have greater impact and influence with our people. I think my leadership would improve. But there really is something, a misfire there, a wiring, some lies, some thoughts. Something's off to where I really have a disproportionate emotional response to having to step up and preach on a stage.
Yeah.
Wow. So I've got a preaching gig coming up in just a couple of weeks, and it's over, healthy friendships, and which I would love. It's a topic that I'd love to share. Jeremy's having me talk about it because of teachings that I've provided in that area, and yet I'm not looking forward to it at all.
Yeah. So Casey, when you look at the person up on stage, especially the one who is up there on a regular basis, you've been around church enough to see not just only our pastors who are gifted up front, but you've seen many. what kind of image do you have, or are you putting on them when you watch them preach?
Yeah, I'm probably a little broken in the aspect that I am evaluating a lot of what's going on. I'm
Mm.
evaluating how they intro in, what's their tone inflection, how are they moving from transition to transition. Are they, are there points? Am I going to remember anything that they're saying? Probably a little brokenness there of just critical evaluation. A lot of it, I believe, in the beginning came from trying to learn. Uh, you don't go through preaching class, or I didn't go through preaching class. Nobody, sent me through 6 weeks of how to communicate on stage. So you're just learning by watching and understanding what others are doing. And then you're trying to identify what translates to the audience and how the audience is reacting. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's probably a little bit of a critical evaluation of what's taking place when somebody's on stage.
Oh yeah, that makes total sense. So you're gifted. You are gifted in a way that you can organize anything. Right? You can take chaos and you move it into organization. I've watched it happen over and over, just in your ministry, what you do, and really looking at other pastors and how they present themselves. Did they hit all the points? Did they reach the heart? Did they transition well? Are they paying attention to their audience? All those kinds of things. That's really, honestly, a gift. So I wonder, are you actually taking that and doing that to yourself, the man in the mirror?
Are you asking, am I evaluating myself in that way?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Uh, being able to sit in an office and have a one-on-one with someone definitely feels the freedom to just be me, to be able to just communicate and really it's all about the person that's sitting across from me. It's not about me at all. And so I'm simply processing through, what do they need? What am I hearing from them? What's the Spirit leading me to do? What really, they may be saying one thing, but really I know there's a pain or a hurt or a wound that they're speaking out of. You get in a little larger room and you still feel like you have an idea of what the needs are of the room and how you're leading them. I think I've struggled with an auditorium. We have an auditorium of about 1,200 people. I don't always know who I'm speaking to, and you're trying to speak to 1,200 different people, and there's even times when I'm speaking, I'll look, through the crowd. My line of sight is constantly changing, but I don't enjoy seeing people. I don't enjoy looking into the eyes of someone because I'm immediately fixated on, I know what's going on in their life. I know what I want to say to an individual. So I think I'm definitely more individual driven. How can I tailor what I want to communicate to an individual versus a large room? And I kind of don't know how to probably help change that thought. When I don't feel like I'm communicating directly to the heart of the individual, I feel like I'm wasting people's time.
Mm.
Therefore, I'm not adding value to the room.
Yeah. Wow. So that wasting time, where did that come online for you?
Yeah, I
Wasting
don't know.
people's time. Yeah. There's that feeling that somebody must have shamed you at some point along the way, for wasting their time. Um, yeah, that might be an area just to kind of look at, because I can see that as a huge barrier, to preparing yourself and making sure you got it all right, so that it's, everybody walks out with something. And what's cool, I mean, you and I have talked a little bit about this. In some ways, it doesn't bother you what people think, because you're confident in certain things, and you just know, hey, this is the direction we're going to go. And if it's okay to have pushback, but if somebody's going to be really spinning out of it, it's like, well, that's really about them. And I've watched you do that well, but it feels different to you when it comes to doing this to the main audience, right? And
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So I'm wondering, is that a place you'd be willing to look? Where was I wasting time somewhere? And it didn't go well.
It's probably more back to the shame burden aspect of when was I, when was there a time maybe that I was needy? When was there a time where I wasn't just adding value? I'm sure there's some areas going back to dad stuff as a kid of, was I working? Oh, that's probably a big one right there. Just working. We grew up farming, and dad's working a full-time job, and we're farming on the side. And so you get in the tractor, and how fast can you get the field cut and raked and baled, and how can you keep things moving consistently, and to the point where you stop the tractor and somebody throws food up in the tractor and you just eat while you're going. There's no stopping. There's no it's how much can you produce, how quickly can you get things done, how intentional and diligent with your steps can you be. And there's been probably two big values that have bubbled up with me, and you've already hit one of them. One is that wasting time. Like, I just value people's time so much.
Yeah.
So scheduling meetings, I'm not going to schedule a meeting unless I've got an agenda. I'm going to be intentional with what we're going to accomplish. I don't like a lot of let's see where this goes. I want to be super intentional there, probably to a point where people around me are saying, hey, would you just relax and rest for a minute? Would you just talk to me? And then I think that relates to just effectiveness or productiveness. How much production can we achieve in a short amount of time? So, probably feeling that my value is based on what I produce, how many things we can get done and how fast we can get them done. Our church, our staff culture just goes fast. We like to go fast. We like to push the gas pedal. It's just more fun.
Yeah.
So we've always kind of celebrated and put value around pace. So how do I care for people with the intentionality of stewarding their time well, and at the same time, how can I produce quickly? So even to preaching on a Sunday, if we could get a point across in 35 minutes, I want to do it in 28. Yeah. And I want to steward their time well. No one's been upset about a short sermon. So how can I be more impactful in a shorter amount of time? And those burdens become very weighty at times versus having kind of the freedom to enjoy it.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of pressure for sure. But still a gift. What a gift. That valuing of their time. And I believe people probably recognize that when they're with you. Sometimes it's like, hey, can you take a breath? And that's good too. And probably needed. I know I'm very similar. I can become so task oriented. Somebody say, "Are you having any fun?"
Yeah.
All right. And I think we both probably need to take a peek into having a little bit of fun along the way. But but what a gift to be able to value their time and value the hearts that are in the room, right? You talked a little bit about the one-on-one connection that means so much to you. But yet in an audience, you don't want to touch into these people that you know. There's something about, I know too much. What's that about? Like if you were to pursue that, what would happen?
Well, the tough thing with teaching or preaching is it's one-sided. And so when I'm in a one-on-one conversation, my value is that they feel heard, that they feel seen, that the only thing on the table is anything that I'm ministering to is directly to care for them. And for some reason, that's difficult for me to translate into a large room of it really does. It's as if I'm, this is about the words that I'm speaking versus about the hurt or the pain that's sitting in the individual. And that, that could just be my mind itself of, okay, what's my next point? What's the next thing I'm moving to? How do I communicate it in such a way that's crystal clear? How do I hit the points that I want to hit? So there's definitely a heightened awareness of what's coming out of my mouth, where I'm standing, how I'm moving. Again, back to the performance aspect of it.
Yeah.
When you're sitting in a chair across from someone, you're not, there's still nonverbal communication and body language that's taking place, but it's very limited. You have the opportunity to communicate care and love to someone in order to earn trust. And so there's just a stronger relational connection and a one-on-one that probably brings me more comfort and confidence than sitting in a room. I'm talking in a room, and I just don't really know if anyone's with me.
Yeah.
Am I going to get done with 25 minutes and they're going to say, "Hey, thanks for the talk"? And that would feel like the greatest waste of time to me. They gave up their Sunday morning and they loaded up their kids. They came in with anticipation to hear from the Lord, and they heard a talk for 25 minutes versus, hey, I think the Lord and that guy really care a lot about me.
Yeah. So, when you look out over the audience, is it a blur? Do you create a blur?
Yes, sir. I create different colored shirts, and but I'm trying not to identify people.
Yeah. I recognize that. For a good portion of my speaking publicly, I had that blur going on. So I wonder, what if you connected just looking, it might not be somebody you just looked into the face of 2 or 3 people and watched their nonverbal. What would that do for you?
Well, I'd hope it was good nonverbal that was coming back, or it could crush me. That's probably some fear too on Sunday morning, and somebody's hungover from the night before and they're half dozing off sitting in an auditorium. That may create all kinds of insecurity and fear. It's probably one step. But if you've got great nonverbals that are coming back, that'd be great. Really, if I could, identify someone and just trust them. Trust that they're hearing and believe that they trust me, probably be pretty valuable.
Yeah. And I will tell you, I've been in the audience with you. I would say 90% of the people are with you, right? Yes, there are the ones who are punching the clock and they're dozing off or whatever they're doing, or they're on their phone. But I just wonder if you selectively unblurred occasionally, depending on what you're speaking about, and connected. And once you see that connection, that's who you kind of go back to, 3 or 4 or 5 people. I mean, there's just no way you're connecting with 1,200.
Sure.
Right? But if you just focused in on a few where you're feeling that they're nodding their head, they're writing their notes, right? What would that feel like for you?
It's funny. Just this exercise right now, I felt relief that I only had to teach 3 people.
Yeah.
And, self-evaluation or confidence in my ability to get a point across, to allow them to hear from the Lord, to help them hear from the Lord. Like, my confidence goes up just thinking about that. 3 people, man, I love those odds. You put me in a room with 3 people and I think I can really steward their time well. I think that I have some things to share that'd be incredibly helpful. I believe I could help them relate to things in my own life and experiences, and have them translate into their own and see God in their story. But I think that's a great easy step of, even as I think about preparing, it's a lot harder to prepare a message for 1,200 than it is for 3.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of teaching at one of our campuses 2 weeks ago, and there's 100 people in the room, and they all are somewhat in a common position. We're launching a new campus, so they kind of all have the same mindset. They're all thinking about kind of the similar things when it comes to just the church. We were talking about leadership and launching the church, and And that was a much easier room to prepare for than, thinking about a large room. But the thought of simply preparing a message for 3 people, yeah, I could see that being beneficial.
Yeah. Well, and you have a really valuable backing of our church. Of all of our pastors share some vulnerability every time they get up,
Mhm.
and in those vulnerable moments is when you find the 3 people.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Right?
Sure.
Like there's a balance on preaching. There's a balance on public speaking, I believe. There's a performance level that we must do, and there's information we must give. I just, I'm with you. I'm like, gosh, I got to get this stuff out. This is important, And will they hear from the Lord? And then there is this other side of connecting, where they walk away feeling like, hey, I know a little bit about Casey. I feel a little part of his life. And I can live like this, or I have this, or it makes sense to me. Does that make sense?
Sure. I mean, the personal aspects many times are the easiest parts to communicate for me, because
Yeah,
it's, the most relationally connected with people, most individualistic. So
yeah, yeah. And you're already doing it. Now just find the 3 people that it's going to be. Are you willing to take that challenge?
yeah, no, I think so. It definitely changes the way I evaluate my performance, from that kind of critical spirit of, you know, uh, it's crazy. I don't have a ton of reps in speaking in a room of 1,200, and yet I want to perform at the level of someone who does it 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a unfair expectations there.
Oh,
But the
yeah.
thought of, preparing for 3 and communicating to 3, kind of recalibrates what the expectations even should be, and probably what the people's expectations are.
Yeah.
They might see me a few times a year. They're not thinking that Billy Graham is walking up on stage. No, Casey. I know Casey. I know great guy with limitations, and that's who's going to share with us.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, for sure. I so relate with what you're saying too, because there's this piece that, oh, I've got to be this. I asked you early on, what is the image that you have of people who get up front? And you and I talked about this, putting on Saul's armor. Like David said, this doesn't work for me, but most of us would have put on Saul's armor and gone and fought the giant and tried to do it out of the image rather than ourselves. Yeah, just recognizing that is really big, to help you, I think.
That's good.
What a great observation as you go in and then connect with these 3 people. And what's cool about this, Casey, pastors who are watching this, there's not that many lead pastors out there. There are a ton of pastors on staff out there.
Mhm.
And you got to have your 1 a year or 2 a year or 3 a year preaching moments. And those guys aren't always up there, and they probably feel the same as you do. And what a gift this has been just for anybody who'd be listening. I can do this different. I don't have to knock it out of the park, right? Which, by the way, you'll still knock it out of the park. You're such a good speaker. I mean, I've always told you that. It's great to have you up front. But yeah, I'll promise. Let's see. You're preaching. You said you're preaching at Easter somewhere, right?
Right, the week after Easter.
Oh, week after Easter. Is it on the big campus?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I'll try to promise not to pick my nose, there from the 4th row, and see if I can distract you.
It'll be good, and I hope I can tell you some stories you haven't heard before.
Yeah. I do believe that'll be true. So, how do you feel now as opposed to the way we started?
I like the. I mean, I still feel this desire to have fun. You kind of talked about, hey, we should have fun through this. So immediately I start thinking, how does preparation become fun? And the thought of helping a few does get really fun. Um, and it's not that I need to, identify the few, the three early on. What we're teaching is pretty generic and pretty applicable to everyone that's in the room. But everything becomes fun when you relieve pressure.
Yeah.
So when you're using your gifts and you feel like you're going to be effective, that's fun. When you add pressure, nothing's fun.
Yeah.
And so that just kind of taking the air out of the balloon a little bit provides an opportunity to, it's not like, it's not near as fun as going fishing.
Oh, yeah.
But it is fun to use your gifts in a way that you think is going to be effective and impactful.
Yeah.
But just permission to talk to a few. Permission. I probably have a problem as well because of insecurity. I seek a lot of feedback after every time that I communicate, probably to an extent that's more about trying to self-affirm than it is to actually have critical feedback to improve.
Yeah.
So I probably narrow my circle of people that I'm seeking feedback from post, and the people that I seek feedback from typically are people that I want to be incredibly critical. And, they're giving me nuggets that might help me, improve 2%. And I just don't communicate enough to get that wound up about a 2% improvement. I need to be looking at things that are going to help me improve 10 to 20%.
Yeah.
So I'd probably limit the feedback on the back end, which relieves a little pressure from me as well. I definitely never ask the normal guy who's sitting in the seat what's going on. I'm always asking the professionals who do this over and over and over again. So probably changing my audience there to just help build some confidence would be helpful. But yeah, I think thinking about a smaller room, again, just being reminded to not put on someone else's armor.
Yeah.
Is helpful. Even thinking about communicating. I love sitting in a stool when I communicate. It makes me feel like I'm in my office. It makes me feel more personal. It makes me feel more relaxed. It makes me feel less preacher and more friend. And and there's been times where I'm like, it's probably shunned upon if I were to sit in a stool versus saying, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm gonna be in a better place if I'm up down from a stool. And so there's things like that I'd probably again push against wearing someone else's armor or someone else's performance expectations, and instead be me.
Yeah. Bring your sling and your stone. Right?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Bring your sling and your stone. I got one more challenge for you, and it is for a talk for another time.
Right.
When you get that positive feedback, receive it.
Oh, that's good.
Receive it. It's truth. All right. Because your professionals are going to tell you pointed things that were good. I know every time I speak, I walk off thinking, I forgot this. I didn't say it this way. Oh, I meant to go this direction. I already know the 3, 5, 7 things that I didn't get right. And it's been a huge traveling journey for me to actually say thank you for that blessing and let it get down into the heart. So I challenge you, see if you can take some here in a few weeks. And this may be another conversation on how to receive feedback positively and enjoy it. So
no, that's really good.
So yeah. All right, man. Well, I sure appreciate it. I hope this has been helpful to you. It's sure been fun for me. So
good. Yeah, I think just permission goes a long ways, and some tools go a long ways. And speaking it out loud, saying, hey, this is what I'm committing to, that goes a long ways as well.
Yeah.
So thank you for the time.
You bet.